As I was saying, some of us don't have that sexually repressive belief system of Christianity. Some of us recognize our humanity, and we act out upon our desires because it's healthy to do so. It's healthy to have sex. As long as, we don't get diseases, we don't reproduce without having the resources to do so. And I respect women who are able to prevent themselves from getting pregnant and from getting diseases. It takes away a lot of problems from the world. And why do those responsible women have to be chastised? Why can't they be exonerated on the same level as abstinent women? But aside from that, I noticed that you never blame men personally, or that you don't really blame men. That somehow women are the seducers, and we're the ones who are incapable of making sound judgment, but at the same time, men give in to women seducing them, men who supposedly are the ones who are logical and can make sound judgment. Well, that really doesn't make a lot of sense, does it, Reverend? Don't you know that women, we can't asexually reproduce? We need a man to do so. So why don't you blame them as well? Because they take a part in it as much as we do. Sometimes they take a part in it without us even consenting to it. It's called rape. So, yeah. Why don't you condemn men, Reverend? I mean, I know why, but I'd like to hear you say why you don't. Because your prejudice is exclusively against women. I know I've said that before, but I must absolutely reiterate it. And one more thing I want to know. You talk about innocent babies being killed. You talk about abortion and how it kills innocent little babies in the womb or whatever. Which, I agree, it kind of does at some level. But what about the innocent little girls and boys in Iraq and Afghanistan who die every day because men and women from here go over there and kill them? How about the elderly men and women who have done nothing to deserve the torture and the murder that U.S. women and men bring upon them? Can you talk about that, Reverend? Can you talk about how those human beings are being killed in horrible, deplorable ways? Moving on. You go on to say that women cannot handle stress, that they do not have patience, that they are incapable of love. Well, Reverend, I guess you have not met my mother, then. I guess you haven't met a majority of mothers. I guess you haven't met a lot of women. Because what it takes to raise a child, you have to have infinite patience. You have to have endless love. And of course, you have to be able to handle stress, because you will be getting a huge supply of it with kids. And a lot of women are capable of raising children very well. So don't you think that you're making a huge judgment there? Especially considering that some of these women have so much on their minds that, forgive them if they snap once in a while, if once in a while they lose patience, if once in a while they say something that is kind of unkind. But you really should not talk about a person, should not judge a person until you really know what's going on with them, until you really know how much they have to juggle in their lives. And that goes for men and women, by the way. Yes, there are men who lose patience, who are not always loving, and who, of course, can't handle too much stress, because sometimes they do have a lot in their shoulders. And that is something you need to realize. Now you go on to say that women should have never gotten the right to vote. Now, I'm not going to bring up a lot of arguments, to anything that you repeat in the sermon, but I just wanted to tell that to whoever is watching my video, just so they know just how bad your prejudice is against us. I mean, it's one thing if you believe that, once in a while we make illogical decisions or whatever, but it's entirely another if you're talking about taking away a civil right. A civil right. Yes, I mean, you already want to take away our reproductive rights. Now you want to take away our right to voice, to make decisions on what we want our leaders to do. Real nice. Now, you go on to say that when your grandmother did stupid things, your grandfather would dismiss them and just say, oh, well, she just does these stupid things. She's like that. She's just like that. That's in her nature. I really would have liked to have seen the arguments between your grandfather and your grandmother. Because I really would have liked to have seen what your grandfather did to provoke her. Now, I'm not saying that maybe she didn't provoke him at times, but in any interpersonal relationship, there is bound to be arguments. There are bound to be times when there will be miscommunication, or when someone will just outright provoke someone else. And you cannot get mad at them for reacting, because pretty much anyone would. But really, this isn't about, women do stupid things in relationships, that men are the innocent ones who just stand by and receive all the abuse or whatever. No, that's a bad relationship is what it is. There's a lack of communication in that relationship. There's a lack of quality in communication in that relationship. From what you have told me. I don't really know, because that's why I said I would have liked to have seen those arguments to see what the real dynamics there were. But the thing is, Reverend, that any true and loving relationship has good communication. When one person in that relationship is unhappy with something, they will communicate it lovingly to the other person, and that person will lovingly receive it and make the change that is necessary. Because that is love, Reverend. And I guess what your grandparents had was a lack of love. Like I said, I don't know them. I did not know them personally, but from what you have told me, there is a lack of love there. And I know because I have a relationship that works very well, very harmoniously. I have my scuffles with my boyfriend at times, but I have a relationship that is powered by love. I constantly reassure my man that of his strength, of his masculinity. And he constantly reassures me of my beauty and my grace, even though I think I have none. And he subdues and soothes my rage with his tenderness. And I make him feel like a precious, wonderful human being with my nurturing love. Because at his workplace, the men at his workplace make him feel like an animal, like a caged animal. But my love helps him. It helps him to unwind at the end of the day. It helps him to get through the day. Or at least that's what he's told me. And we work like a beautiful, harmonious yin-yang, protecting our love from poisonous outside influences like yours, which divide men and women. And before you say that men supposedly know the nature of women, because apparently that's what you're saying here, is that men know the nature of women, and therefore they should not let women take over them or whatever. No, Reverend, men don't know the nature of women. They don't know us until you get into a woman's body, suffer defloration, suffer menstruation, and suffer childbirth, then you can talk about us. But no, without knowing any of that, you really can't talk about us, especially because you don't make an effort to really get to know us. And